What is up, guys? My name is Damien.
I'm Colin.
I'm Alex.
We are Our Mind Center. We make short films, and we definitely review movies. And we're bringing another one for you today. Tonight, we went to go see American Made, starring Tom Cruise. Alex, what's this movie about?
American Made is a movie based on a true story about someone named Barry Seal, who started working for the CIA and multiple other organizations to help out our country.
Yeah, guys. So this is a like Alex said, a true story. So it's weird. It's these types of movies are weird because there's a lot of them, and they all try to do kind of different stuff. So like the ones I will always reference, and a lot of people will, are the movie Gold with Matthew McConaughey, where he gets a lot of money doing something illegal and he's living his life. And then you have a movie like Wolf of Wall Street, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, where it's a guy who does stuff illegal, gets a lot of money, and just lives his life. And this movie is the same thing as that, and it's so hard while watching this not to be like, yeah, of course, I've seen this 100 times. But what I think this movie does good, by no means is it better than the two that I just named, but what it does do good is Tom Cruise, and I think the directing. I think both of those things, which we normally always praise with a movie, but this one particularly because of what it has to go up against. And I think overall, I think Tom Cruise and the directing of this movie is what's going to make it worth talking about for us.
I'm not a fan of Tom Cruise at all. I'm not a fan of action movies. And so, not seeing Tom Cruise for the first time, but seeing Tom Cruise for the first time in a really long time for me, he did an excellent job. He's funny. His facial expressions and like he has very short lines that he just delivers very well.
Yeah. I mean, I really do like Tom Cruise, and I think it's kind of funny. I think my dad looks a little bit like Tom Cruise, and his name was Barry in this movie, which is also my father's name. A little tidbit of information. Anyways, going on what he said about the directing, this movie, I think the directing is what made it more fun for me when looking at it against Gold and Wall Street. Because this was almost filmed kind of like it was a documentary, but at the same time it was a film about the character, and it's based on true events, but I'm sure they embellished plenty of it to make it more Hollywoodized. And I had fun with it, more than I expected to.
Yeah, I think this movie is kind of just fun. I mean, it's weird because, like we were saying, it's true, so it's hard to make that not just boring.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, you know what's going to happen if you know about Barry Seal in real life.
You could just look that up.
Yeah. However, this movie, like most movies, they have to make that somehow fun and interesting, even though you may or may not know what happens in the long run. And I think this movie does a pretty good job at that. And I think we are kind of in the minority, especially since we're younger, that we don't know about Barry Seal. So I'm not going to use the word on the edge of my seat because that implies that I was like always like, but I was not expecting a lot of things that happen in this movie, and that is a pleasant surprise.
Kudos to them for doing that.
Yeah, for real. This movie is very fun, and it is true, but you can also tell that it's hard to use the term like it's just Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise. Because I know as an actor, you probably wouldn't like to hear that, especially not all the time. Because I can tell Tom Cruise is doing his best, like he always does. The dude just is always in it 100%. And I think that's one thing I really like about this movie, is that even though it's really fun, Tom Cruise is actually doing something a little different this time.
I think the acting across the board in this film was just good.
Yeah.
There wasn't too many characters that fell out. There was one character in this that I forget his name, but he played a character named JB, and he's not in it for a lot, but his character was just solid, and he did a really good job. Yeah. Just everybody that comes through it, you're just like, oh, that's cool. You get little character bits here and there that you're just like, oh, that's fun, and it made the movie fun.
I feel like I should back up my statement earlier, at least like explain myself, and the reasoning why I don't think it's as good as the other two that I mentioned, Gold or Wolf of Wall Street, which I've only seen Gold once, and I might be a little biased with Wolf of Wall Street, because that is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. I think one thing that, for me, bugged me a little bit in this movie, and one thing I kind of just didn't like, and the reason why my score is going to be where it's at, is a little bit of the pacing and how long it is. And it's hard because you're trying to tell the story of a man's life, a good portion of his life. And it's hard to do that not long or too long. But I think this movie sits, I think it's an hour or 2 hours and 55 minutes. And
No.
333, subtract the two,
115.
25,000,
2 hours.
1,567, double that to get
115.
1,134.
1 hour and like 55 seconds.
It is exciting, and I'm liking where this movie is going, but at the same time, it's a little long. There's some trimming that could be done, and I'm not gonna say that that's nitpicky either, because if you're bored in a movie or you feel like a movie's slow, that's not
That's
good.
an issue.
Yeah, that's an issue for sure.
I think as fun as this movie was, at times it can be a little monotonous watching him do very similar things over and over again, but I don't know. I think it was just kind of good. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't blow my mind, and I guess that can be a negative for a film. Is that I didn't sit there and go, "Oh, that was incredible," but I didn't dislike really
Yeah.
any part of this.
Guys, so my hype for this movie is at minimum as it could be, even with Tom Cruise in there. I was more excited for him than the movie itself. But that being said, I was actually surprised with this movie and Tom Cruise, and I shouldn't have even second guessed it. But the man kills it in this movie, and if you like Tom Cruise even a little bit, you're going to enjoy yourself in this movie. One thing that does harm this movie in a big way for me, because it's a problem whenever I'm sitting in a movie and I get bored sometimes. The pacing is a little wonky for me, and it's going to lower my score a little bit, but also keep it above average for sure. I think I'm going to give this movie... I'm confident in this one. No more hesitation. I'm going to give this movie a 7. 7 twin rotor planes out of 10. I don't think this movie is great, but it's definitely good.
As someone who is not like a real big fan of Tom Cruise or action movies in general, I enjoyed this. It was a treat. I have not really seen Tom Cruise act at all, and so he's definitely the best part of this movie. Not a lot of negatives, and for me, not a lot to say in general about this movie. But it was a good movie, and I think that I'd rate it a 7.5. Hope Arkansas silhouettes out of 10.
Okay.
It'll be easy to find the fucking shape of hope.
I had fun with this film. I think Tom Cruise is always a treat, and while this movie is not mind-blowing or so incredible that you gotta take your kids and all their mothers to see this film, I had a fun time with it, but I don't know, it was good. I probably won't see it again, but I don't think I'll forget it, and I'm gonna sit it at an 8. I'm going to give this movie an 8. I really like the directing in it. I think that pushes it up for me. I just like the way it was. But I'm going to give it an 8. Boots out of 10. 8 boots out of 10.
No one did anything about drugs. I was kind of expecting like a kilo. But hey guys, if you did not know, we actually just posted our short film on the channel, so go ahead and check it out. Give it a like, subscribe to us if you want to see more of these types of videos or more of those types of videos. Guys, there's plenty more of these coming because within the next 2 months, we're going to be smacking these heavy hitters out of the water. Thank you guys for continuing to watch and keeping us those steady views. We really appreciate it, guys. And just so you don't forget, my name is Damien.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Alex.
And until next time, guys.
Yeah, and I think that's a weird thing about it though, is because this film is kind of that.
It's just good. It's just
Because it's like, okay, yeah, I saw that film.